Right, so hello everyone, and welcome to Interfec's IPS Pharma 4.0 virtual technical tour. My name is John Niziolek. I'm the Associate Director of Computer Systems Validation and Data Integrity at IPS Integrated Product Services, and I'll be your virtual tour moderator. For those of you who may not be familiar with IPS, we're a professional services organization which specializes in EPCMV, engineering, procurement, construction management, and validation. We truly believe in the power of collaboration and execution for successful projects. IPS prides itself in seeking out and establishing relationships in the supply chain, and these technology tours are examples of this. Though we cannot be together in person this year at Interfex, both the Interfex team and IPS are happy to bring technology tours to you virtually, still offering the opportunity to learn about the latest trends and technology in the industry. Today on our tour, we'll include 3 suppliers that offer solutions in the Pharma 4.0 field for this presentation. Represented today on the tour will be Emerson Automation Solutions, Rockwell Automation, and Veltek Associates Inc. or Sterilink. I'll introduce each participant and they'll do a presentation of their products, and when complete, we'll transition to the next presenter. We'll share important links and references in the reference section of the virtual tour during the broadcast for you to access additional product and company information. Let us begin by welcoming and introducing our first presenter today, Michalle Adkins, who's the Director of Life Sciences Consulting at Emerson Automation Solutions. Welcome, Michalle. Please begin.
Thank you, John, for that introduction. Today, I'm going to talk about reliability and predictive maintenance. In the life sciences industry, there are many opportunities for improvement. From our source in the 2018 American Productivity and Quality Center report, you can see several examples on this slide. There are opportunities to decrease the unplanned downtime in a facility, improve schedule attainment, and increase capacity utilization while reducing maintenance costs and calibration costs. The life science industry is moving from a preventative maintenance program to predictive maintenance. We all know that it's hard to make changes in a GMP world, but there are plenty of opportunities for improvement here. Current PMs do not address specific failure modes. We don't necessarily look at the occurrence of failures as correlated with time, and the predictive maintenance may be actually performed on healthy assets that don't currently have a problem, because most of the maintenance activities are performed based on time. When we move to a predictive maintenance program, we actually are looking at the capabilities of the equipment and how the equipment is operating and gaining the visibility to understand when it's going to fail. And by doing that, we lower the repair costs to equipment, lower the maintenance costs, and also provide the opportunity to have shorter downtimes in production. By leveraging our existing data sources and the information that we have at our fingertips, we're able to do this. And additionally, this would reduce spare parts inventories, and it actually frees up the working capital because you now know the parts that you actually need and you can plan for that. By using analytics, we can actually drive condition-based maintenance workflow. So let's take, for example, a rotating piece of equipment. By having sensing capabilities on that equipment, for example, vibration and temperature monitoring, and by using the information from how the process is going and the data available from the process, we can look at all of that to determine when an asset is going to fail. Additionally, by using root cause information from the equipment, we can then decide what is happening with that asset and be able to generate a specific order for maintenance activities on that asset. And then someone can go out into the field prepared with the right materials and equipment to actually perform the maintenance. With our KNet suite of software, we are able to use analytics to drive action on our operational assets and perform processes for maintenance. We have a rule-based logic and analytics software package that can use the information from the asset, such as the wireless sensors, as well as the process information, and along with a root cause analysis tool, so that when we see an issue with a piece of equipment, we can determine what the problem is, get that information to the right people so that they can then go to the field and perform that maintenance. Now, one of the challenges in performing maintenance is, of course, making sure that we have a good window within the operating schedule. So another tool that is available in the Emerson portfolio is the real-time modeling system software. We can look at existing processes and gather information on how processes are running, develop a model for the schedule, and using that historical information along with integration to the process control system and the manufacturing execution systems to understand and in real time capture the current status of the process so that you always have a real-time schedule. When you have a real-time schedule, you can do a better job of planning maintenance as well as reacting to certain issues within the process schedule. When you have a problem, it's automatically reflected in the schedule when you have that information and that integration. Additionally, you're able to view the opportunities for performing preventative maintenance activities by looking at the white space in the schedule. Additionally, with the solution, you are able to maximize your throughput because you can identify the capacity bottlenecks in your process by running simulations of the process and understanding and determining what that bottleneck is. And then you can run additional scenarios, what if scenarios, when you eliminate that bottleneck, what the ability of your facility would be without that bottleneck. And you can continue that process until you are satisfied with the results. So when we can combine the ability to predict the need for maintenance or understand any current problem in the field and the need for repair with a schedule, we have a powerful combination. And when we also combine that with the ability to have a mobile operating interface for that maintenance activity to support the workflow, it becomes a very powerful combination. So for example, you can get an alert that a pump is having high vibration activity happening. And then you can, after you get that alert, understand where the optimal performance is. And you can see here on this curve that it's not quite to the point where it needs to be replaced, but you can see a warning that there is an issue going to happen within the next short time frame. And then you can plan when you're going to do that maintenance before it causes a problem and causes a shutdown or deviation in your process. So since I now know that I need to do something, I can look at my schedule and look for the opportunity to perform that maintenance. And as you can see here, there's some white space now where there's an opportunity to perform that maintenance activity on that pump because we're going to have some time between one batch and the next in the schedule. So I showed an example of the maintenance capabilities and being able to pair that together with scheduling. And you can see here that our plant web digital ecosystem is an enabling platform for managing these activities, and these capabilities are available from Emerson all the way from the shop floor, where we have the instrumentation capabilities, the automation, the manufacturing execution solutions, and we have secure connectivity and cybersecurity at all levels with our secure first mile applications. So in summary, we talked a bit about the high level here with the RTMS scheduling capabilities, the asset and health performance, and the machine analytics platform. Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Interfex videos.
Michelle, thank you very much for your presentation. I can really see how the K9 Analytics platform can be a value add to the industry. I'd like to introduce our next presenter, Dan UpDyke, Market Director Manager for CPG and Life Science Industries at Rockwell Automation. Welcome, Dan. Please begin.
All right, thanks, John, for that introduction. I'm Dan UpDyke. I'm the Market Development Manager for Life Sciences here at Rockwell Automation. And today I want to talk a little bit about considerations around data integrity and how that is impacted through Pharma 4.0 and some of the new advancements that we're seeing. Why we're really talking about this today is that digitalization and the better use of data can mean a lot of great things for business, including shorter review times on batches, fewer errors in documentation, and just overall better efficiency. But as we're embracing new technologies, new capabilities, we need to do it in a way that does not risk compliance, and that that we're ensuring that data integrity in our systems. And as we do this, we need to consider things like having a good underlying strategy for how we digitalize our operations, and really come up with a plan to achieve that. And we do this through starting at our core automation platforms and where the sources of those data, but at the same time being willing to embrace new technologies. So as we look through this, I talked about starting at the core technologies and the manufacturing systems. And as time goes on, as we're integrating systems, platforms are becoming more open, protocols are becoming more open. We need to be able to talk to lots of different sources of data, maybe that we didn't talk to before. Part of this is an effort to reduce paper records, but as you start going down this journey, the integration of equipment from different vendors can create a real challenge with data management. And in factories of the future, lines are going to be made up of pieces of equipment and systems from different vendors, containing different control platforms, different strategies, different protocols. So ultimately, to maximize our system's effectiveness, we need to have systems that are open, easy to connect to, easy to integrate with these pieces of equipment. We should have open architectures based on more open protocols such as Ethernet IP, and try to avoid proprietary and exclusionary type of networks, but have things work together and integrated together to be able to collect that data and have one version of the truth, right? We pull everything together to have one version of that data, and this can help improve not just on having the information in one place, but reporting, batch reporting, audit responses, and those types of things. Data reviews and all that become much easier when you go along these lines. There are a lot of benefits to this type of integration. You can have operator work instructions can be integrated to the batch sequencing, and make operators more efficient. Your user access, security, all of those things can be standardized and centralized, so you don't have different systems managing all of that information and all that user activity, and those user accounts separately, which simplifies your operations and your execution. Common access rights allow for easier IT handling of those systems. And also, once you have all that stuff together, you can combine your audit trails and information for reviews and audits and those types of things. So that we talked about that core platform and integrating all that stuff at the plant floor together, which I believe is a journey we've been on for a number of years. But as part of that, and then part of the digital transformation, you really need to embrace and leverage newer technologies. We need to be able to mobilize our workers, right, and have information at their fingertips, systems at their fingertips, take advantage of tablets and phones and those types of devices, wearable, any other kind of wearable devices that can bring the information to them, and information from multiple systems. It's not just about putting an HMI screen locally, but it's about being able to tie the different systems throughout the plant and bring it to your worker to make them more effective, right? So, we have applications like our Thin Manager application, which will which will give you windows into multiple systems. We have IIoT platforms like ThingWorks, which will connect to these different systems and aggregate that information together and give you pathways into seeing those types of things. And the reason this becomes important is because even though we are digitalizing the plants, progressively and continuously, there are changes in manufacturing technologies, and single-use technology is a great example of this, where we have much more manual activity than we used to, right? We had, completely integrated build-out systems, all stainless. You could automate that a lot easier, but with something like single-use, you're gonna have a bunch of manual hose connections and a lot of bag installations, and all of that stuff is going to be manually done by operators, a lot of it either recorded by paper or paper SOPs to guide them how to do it. If you can embrace these new technologies and put that information, so there's work instructions directly in front of the operator through technology and reduce the paper there, you can use that same technology to acknowledge that the right actions were taken, to confirm those connections, to confirm those installations, assign those to the operator with timestamps, and that becomes a part of your audit trail. So even though it's now a very manual activity, through like AR, VR type, or specifically AR type instructions, you can really capture that, make it a part of your batch record, make it something that you can review, that you can defend on an audit, and it becomes a permanent part of that digital record. It becomes easier to own and handle all of that data. So once you pull all this stuff together, I kind of mentioned pulling it all into one record to review. As we build out the electronic batch record with all of this aggregated data, you start getting other advantages, simplifying your review, shortening your review times, and ultimately that leads to a shorter release time for your products and gets those products in the hands of the customers, gets the drugs to the patients that need them, right? And when you fully digitize your operations and your data collection, and you've got that in a single repository, it's secure, you've managed your data integrity, then you can start taking advantage of new concepts like review by exception, where you're only looking at the issues that came along during the batch, and you can really shorten your review times there. But to be able to do that, you have to have those records digitized and presented in a way that where your entire record is complete, and the system can identify what those exceptions are to aid through that process. When you've achieved all of the digitalization of those systems, and you've got your plant floor and your systems integrating into your data collection, and you've got unified audit trail and unified information there, you really start to see a lot of strong business results out of that, whether that be fewer manual entries, so reducing time on the shop floor or on the facility floor to be able to record and collect all that information, which leads to less errors, less human errors, which means to fewer investigations and fewer quality events that you have to resolve. And all of this will ultimately reduce your time to product release and reducing your overall batch cycle, right? So you're getting more product out the door, which makes you more efficient, helps throughput, helps to ensure the supply chain and delivery of those drugs to the customer. So we've talked about looking at data at the plant floor level. Then we've talked about integrating it to a higher, or at the plant-wide, site-wide MES type layer, which will ultimately tie in your laboratory systems, your warehousing systems, and put all that into an electronic batch record. But then we want to talk about data across the entire enterprise. So as we're looking enterprise-wide data management, as the industry evolves and as regulatory environments evolve, what we're seeing is an expansion of the need to manage data outside of the manufacturing process, whether that be simply through serialization, but it's more about tracking that product as it moves through the supply chain all the way to the customer to ensure product integrity, product quality, product validity and authenticity, and making sure that you have the data to be able to support that and to be able to support the manufacturing systems of that product, so that when somebody receives a product, they know that there are no issues with recalls, those types of things. To be able to do that, you really have to have a data strategy for integrating all of that together, right? So having consultancy services that are able to understand the connection from through that entire digital thread of product development, product manufacturing, distribution, all the way to the customer, and be able to tie all that together through your system. And a lot of that is through consultancy services to be able to architect and build that system. And it's one of the key strategies that we have, is to be able to supply the customers with that ability to understand the entire data management, so that we can have proof and reliability and assurance of that data and the integrity of that data as part of that. So when we connect that enterprise, we can have increased coordination between commercial demand, manufacturing orders, passing recipes down from ERP through MES to your manufacturing processes, and then tracking them outside of that process. We're able to use deeper analytics. Once we have all of these things working together, you can have deeper analytics that can be used to help drive quality, improve effectiveness through, say, our innovation suite. We can do predictive and prescriptive data analytics. We can enable things like PAT and other new advancements to be able to take your productivity and your efficiency and quality to the next level, right? Being able to share that information across the entire enterprise not only helps manufacturing, but it helps a lot of the business practices. And in the end, what we previously talked about was driving supply chain visibility and making sure that you have control of your products all the way through the supply chain, so that there is no question of the value and the validity of your products. So the good news is this is very complex, but early in my career, we always struggled with making changes to a system and making changes to a validated system and having to requalify things. And, we didn't really embrace new technologies on things that were already effective in making drugs, right? We have a working system, why touch it and, have to requalify it? Well, the regulatory agencies have seen the value in investing in improving processes to making pharmaceuticals more effective, and improving quality, improving yield, both in the ability to assure a great product for the customers, but also to make the manufacturing processes more efficient, so that you can either increase volume or even drive down cost, because it's not as cumbersome, or you're not having as much waste and quality loss type issues. So regulatory agencies are actually encouraging the industry to modernize and to advance. So I always feel like that's a real positive when the agencies themselves are behind this effort and helping to drive improvement. So just kind of summarize, so where would you start if you want to take this this digital transformation journey and do it with a mindset of making sure we have data integrity and that we have all this stuff accounted for, and that we have assurances that are, as we're tying our systems together, that we're doing it in the right way, that's not going to have any regulatory risk or reduce regulatory risk as much as possible. Where do we start? So I mentioned earlier, starting with great consulting services with people that understand how the technology applies to those industries is key, and it's critical, and to develop a plan. And then you have to have a long-term plan. You can't, if there's a greater risk of making a mistake if you do individual silos of capabilities, one project at a time without its context to the big picture, that you may head down a path on one part of your facility that doesn't necessarily fit with the overall long plan. So developing that plan first and having a long-term vision is key, and that's why those consultancies are very important. Then building in an architecture that can really support the long-term vision, both not only from a data connectivity and equipment and system connectivity perspective, but from a security, cybersecurity and data security, mind frame or mindset of having all that built into that plan as we connect our plant floor to our plant-wide systems to our ERP systems to enterprise, connection across multiple facilities, having a cybersecurity plan to be able to enable and ensure that data is critical. And I always recommend, once we have the plan in place, start with problems that you best know and the best understand to get those immediate results and head down the path of really good integration and great results for your facility. So that's all I have today. It was a short conversation. There's always opportunity for further conversations, but I appreciate the time and thanks for having me on.
Dan, thank you very much for your presentation. Data integrity is a subject that's near and dear to my heart and to my job, obviously. But it's great that Rockwell is embracing DI and offering very robust solutions for the industry. Much appreciated. Our final presentation will come from Kevin McMurtrie, who's the Global Business Manager for Veltek Associates, Inc. Kevin, thank you, and please begin.
Thank you, John. Again, my name is Kevin McMurtrie, Global Business Manager for Veltek, and I'd like to talk to you today about using RFID technology for tracking assets for use in asset management and also with compliance support. The whole idea of tracking assets with RFID actually spawned from a meeting our president had with one of our largest clients, who admitted to him that they were losing pieces of equipment on a fairly regular basis. And when our president came back and brought that message to our team, we experienced the same situation from time to time. We operate as a GMP facility, so it was just important to us to know where all of our assets were at any given time. So beyond just simple asset tracking, the idea actually spawned into more of an asset management tool. I mean, yes, we did see situations where pieces of equipment went missing. We did have to replace them from time to time, but I'm sure if you think about your situations and your facilities, you're experiencing that same thing from time to time. It's not just the equipment that may go missing, right? You might also be spending a lot of time sending people out into your facility to actually look for that. That's unproductive time. We've actually had people admit to us that they lost batch records, and because of that, they had to destroy product. That's a significant loss at times. So, it was more than just tracking an asset. So when we sat down and started to think about the total solution that we wanted to build, we built something that went far beyond just knowing where an asset is. So we feel that an RFID tracking solution, we refer to ours as Core2Scan, what it can do is it can solve that asset tracking, but also personnel, the human assets that you have in your facilities. Compliance auditing, the information, the data that is being gathered by the RFID readers is happening automatically. So it eliminates that human error. And then, of course, the software really goes beyond just telling me where that asset is. It helps me with my preventive maintenance, with my calibration and service status for those assets. So what we did was we built a complete solution, a solution that includes hardware, software, and the actual RFID tags. So the hardware was probably one of the easier parts. We've got readers that we can locate throughout your facility, and those readers are sending data to the software every second, every day. The other component that's a part of this is actually the RFID tags. Now, they're an integral part of the entire solution, really because of the pharma biotech industry and the processes that are involved in it. One of the undertakings we were involved with, we knew that the assets that were going to be tagged went through autoclaving and sonication. A typical RFID tag would never withstand those kind of processes. So we worked with our partners and brought and developed tags that can withstand it. We do a lot of the testing in our own facility, so we know how many cycles a tag can withstand, whether it's autoclaving or sonication. And that's a big advantage that Veltek offers. One of the components within the software is actually sending alerts to our users. So a user knows when a particular asset is coming due for calibration. Those alerts now go a step beyond, and they will actually tell an end user that a particular asset that may not be allowed in a specific area or in a specific room might have passed by a reader, and now that it's gone there. So a lot of alerts are there to really help you maintain your SOPs and do the best you can within your facility. This is just a simple screen of some of the hardware that we employ. On the left is a fixed reader. And one of the things we do with all of our clients is a very detailed site survey. So we actually help you set up where the readers go. Sometimes a reader in a very critical area may need an additional antenna. So again, we're there as part of the site survey to help identify those areas and make sure that at the end of the day, the read rate accuracy of all of the assets passing by is as close to 100% as we can possibly get it. The handheld reader on the right, that's also used by quite a few people to help identify as a specific asset that you're looking for very quickly. The handheld can actually be used as more of a Geiger counter. So as the signal gets stronger, you know that you're closer to that specific asset. But within the Core2Scan solution, that information, that data that is gathered on the handheld can be fed up to the entire software solution. Here are just a few screens of what the software will look like, whether it's on a laptop or a tablet. But what you're able to see is highly critical information. It's actionable information, not only knowing when an asset is due for calibration, but the bigger challenge is, okay, now where is it? So you can actually log into the software, pull up that specific asset within the software. It will tell you where it was last scanned. So instead of sending people out throughout your facility to try and find it, you know exactly where to start and what room to look in. The asset view really helps you get down to where that asset has been over the last couple of weeks or months, depending on what you choose. You can actually put in your certificates that are attached to that specific asset. So that's another valuable area where all of the information, all of the data is coming together in one solution for you. But the benefit is we can also integrate all of the data with existing systems that you have in your facility. Again, just knowing PMs, service status, all of those things, they're part of the overall solution to help you really manage your soft assets, as well as knowing where they are throughout your facility. Now, one of the big things we do is actually incorporate your floor plans into our software. So at any given time, on any given floor, in any given room, you can actually see what assets are there at this point in time. What the floor facilities tracking model does, or module does, is actually shows you where all the readers are located within your facility. You can click on any one of those readers to get down to a more granular level to actually see what assets are right there at this time. So again, we work together with you very closely to build a solution that's going to send you the data you need, the critical data you need to really help you not only know where the assets are, but manage them as well. That was really a brief overview of what Core2Scan can do in terms of asset tracking and asset management. I certainly thank you for your time and attention, and would love to hear from you if you have any questions at all regarding how Core2Scan can be implemented within your facility. Thank you very much.
Kevin, thank you very much for your presentation. I'm very impressed with the Core2Scan platform. I can definitely see a value add as well to the industry. Very unique take on asset management and tracking. With that being said, folks, I'd like to offer some closing remarks. We're complete. Our tour is complete for the day. I want to thank all of you, all the Pharma 4.0 presenters for their contributions to the virtual tour and sharing their company and product information. We really appreciate all of you that have virtually attended this tour today. And to contact any of our suppliers you heard from today and access our presentation, please go to www.interfex.com. Thank you all again and have a great day.